Hi guys, this is John here. Now in today's lecture in our journey of entrepreneurship, we will look at the concept of research and development. Now you as an entrepreneur, you have started a company, whether it could be a product company or a service company, and you want to offer that product or service to your customer. But how do you build that product? What will that product be? What will that product look like? Whether the product works, whether your customer likes that product. So in this lecture, we will look at that important concept of research and development. What are the steps needed to go through research and development, or also called as R&D? How do you calculate the cost of research and development? And also very important, if you decide not to do research and development, what are the advantages and disadvantages of that? So let's get started. So guys, in this session, we will look at the importance of research and development and how R&D or research and development is very important when you are building an enterprise as an entrepreneur. So I will explain to you the different steps of research and development. Research and development is very important, especially when you have a product company. It is also important when it's a service company, but it is extremely important when you have a product company. So let me explain this to you here. So R&D stands for research and development. Now I will explain to you as a product company how research and development takes place, and you can think that for a service the R&D or research and development will also be something similar. So R&D is the process of developing a finished product from the idea. Correct? Now please do not confuse this finished product as a finished business, because business is different from product. R&D means you take an idea and you convert it into a product. Now when you sell the product and you make money, that is called as a business. That is entrepreneurship, if you remember from my first lecture. So now when you have an idea and you finish it into a product, that entire journey is called R&D. Now as a company, please understand this, very important. As a company, you need to ask yourself, do I want to do R&D? It's a very logical question. Do I want to do R&D? If your answer is yes, then you should know all the steps that I am about to explain to you. If your answer is no, means you will not develop the product on your own, but you will directly buy the product from somebody else. So buy from someone else. If you are going to do that, then the answer is you don't need R&D. But if you are planning to develop the product on your own, then the answer is yes. And that is why I want you to pay close attention if you decide to do R&D. If you decide not to do R&D, well, it's fine. But remember, as I told you, business is all about trade-offs. So if you do R&D, which is yes, there are some advantages. If you say no, you don't want to R&D, there are some advantages, but there are some disadvantages as well. And that, my friends, as we know, is called as trade-offs. So now let us assume that yes, as a company, you are going to do R&D. So let us look at and understand the steps that are involved in doing R&D. Let's go step by step. So first, you will need to hire engineers, and engineers are those people who will develop your product and who will make the first step towards converting your idea into some sort of a product. So first you hire engineers. Then these engineers, they will work on the idea and they will deliver the first working prototype. Now the first working prototype is also called as proof of concept, or also called as POC, they will try and check, does this idea successfully work? So the question is, does this idea work in the first place? So the first step is you take the idea and you convert it into a first working prototype. And this is also sometimes called as POC, or proof of concept. So the first step is you hire engineers, you ask these guys, okay guys, take this idea and now check, does this idea work? That's called as first working prototype. I would also suggest you to look up the English meaning of the word prototype. Prototype is basically your first working model. Okay guys? Now, what these guys do, your engineers will take the first working prototype and then they will send it to somebody called as a tester. Now this tester is a guy who will take your prototype and then test it and check if there are any problems with it or not. So he will look for problems. His job is to find problems in your prototype. In that case, then they will give their feedback. What these guys will do, they will send the prototype back to the developers. Developers are your engineers. So these guys will test the product, and if there are any bugs means errors, if there are any errors or mistakes, they will send it back to the development team, and these engineers will then correct and rectify. So correct and rectify the errors and mistakes. And then what they will do is they will send it back to these testers, and these testers will test again. So now this is called as a R&D loop. It's called as a loop because your developers send it to your testers send it back to your developers. So this keeps happening again and again, and this loop continues until all the errors are resolved. Resolved means all the mistakes and all the errors have been removed, and now you can confidently say that yes, this product is ready and it works. So until the testers do not give the go ahead, until this guy is not happy, until he says, okay, yes, you can go ahead, your product is not ready. Okay, so the tester needs to say, yes, the product is ready, and now we can go and produce this product. Now, before you go ahead and produce this product at a large scale, so when I say large scale, if you need to produce thousands of products, before that, I suggest that we should go through one more step. What is that step? You should take a first set of products. So once you have finished R&D, you should take the first set of products to your customers. So I hope you remember in our previous lectures, we have identified who our customers are. So what we do is, you identify 10 to 15 such customers and you show them your product and you ask them, do you like this product? Are you happy with this product? And most importantly, will you use this product? And the most important and golden question is, will you pay for this product? And this step is what we call as consumer testing. This step is very important. We call it what? Consumer testing, where once our product is cleared by the testers, what do? We identify our customers. We already know who our customers are, and we take our product to the customer and we ask them, will you use this product? Will you pay for this product? Now, based on the customer's feedback, Now, based on the customer's feedback, you might have to go back and go to your R&D team and tell them, guys, we need to make changes in this product. Because look, so why is this step important, guys? Let me tell you, it's plain and simple. Because the customer feedback will decide how successful your product will be. Because it's a simple logical question. If your customer says, no, I will not pay for your product, even if you sell it to him, it's going to be like, no. If somebody asks you, guys, are you going to buy this product? And if you say no, and still the company comes and sells you that product, what are you going to say, right? Sorry, I'm not going to buy it. So if no one is going to buy your product, your company is going to fail. So please understand that this is a very important step, that once you have tested your product with your team, you must also test your product with your consumers. So the consumer testing phase is very important. Please remember that. Okay, guys. Now that your customer has given the go ahead, and once you receive positive feedback, then you can say that you are ready to sell your product. So basically, if your customer says that yes, I will use this product, and more importantly, the customer says, yes, I will pay for this product, then you can say, yes, we are ready to sell this product in the market. Okay, guys, this is very important. This step, as I called as consumer testing. Consumer testing is a very important step. Whether you have done your own R&D or no, in both cases, whether you did R&D or you did not, you must still do the consumer testing step without fail, so that you can successfully test and check whether you are ready to sell your product. Okay, guys? Now, just looking at the basic step from scratch for R&D, you have an idea, you hire engineers, you make your first working prototype, then you get your first working prototype tested. Once the tester gives the go ahead, then you go to your consumer. Now, once your consumer says, yes, I am happy, then you are ready to sell your product. Okay, guys? So, this phase is called as R&D. This phase is called as consumer testing. Please understand. Now, the entire time taken from this step to this step is called as research and development time. So, the time taken from your idea to your engineers building your first prototype, to your testers approving it, to your consumer testing being completed, and your final product being ready, this total time is called as research and development time. Okay. So now I hope you have understood the concept of R&D, research and development. Okay, guys. Now let me explain to you the concept of research and development cost. In the end of this section, I will explain to you the advantages and disadvantages of doing R&D and not doing R&D. But first, let us look at the R&D cost. Okay, guys? So now, to do research and development, you will have to hire engineers. Now, when you hire engineers, you have to pay them a salary. Now, these engineers, some of these engineers are developers, some of these engineers are testers. So, let us calculate the research and development cost. So let me show you an example. So let us say you hire 3 engineers, and each engineer you pay a salary of 30,000 rupees a month. So it's 30,000 rupees a month and you hire 3 engineers. So your total cost per month for 3 engineers is 3 times 30, which is 90,000 rupees a month. Now let us say the total time from idea here to your finished product is 6 months. So the total duration from going from this step to this step is 6 months. So now let us see how does that impact my cost. So a cost of 90,000 rupees per month, and the total development time, as I said, is 6 months. So our total R&D cost, so the total research and development cost here would be 90,000 rupees multiplied by 6 months, which gives us a total R&D cost of 5,40,000 rupees, or 540,000 rupees is our R&D cost. Okay. So this is the money you will have to invest in the company to develop your product. Alright guys, so this is how you calculate the R&D cost. Basically, the number of engineers you hire multiplied by the salary for each engineer, that gives you your total cost per month. Then you take the total R&D time, so the amount of time taken to develop your product, which is in this case an example of 6 months. So your total R&D cost will be 90,000 rupees multiplied by 6 months, which is 5,40,000 rupees. This is a very important cost if you choose to do R&D. So now the biggest question you must be asking is, do we need to pay this amount? I mean, simple words, is this important? So let me give you a simple understanding of the trade-offs. So let us say, we say yes, we will do R&D versus no, we will not do R&D. So let us say yes, we do R&D. So the advantage of doing R&D, so the advantage is that you know the secret. So you know the secret of your product. So your product is known only by you, and it will be very difficult for somebody to copy your product because you know the secret. So the first advantage of doing research and development is that. The second advantage is that you can make more advancements. So you can keep improving your product. So you can make more improvements because you know your product better than anybody else. So that is another advantage. Now, the disadvantage of doing R&D, so I will call this advantages. Now, the disadvantages of doing R&D is that there is a cost. And very important, you are not sure whether the product will succeed or not. Now, if the product succeeds, it's good. If it does not succeed, so this cost will go down the drain. That's a disadvantage. The advantage of not doing R&D is that you will save money and you will save time. But the problem here is, since you do not know the secret, anybody else can copy your idea, or you don't know the secret, so 2 other people can also copy your idea. So that's a problem. Again, my friends, this is a trade-off. You have to decide as an entrepreneur whether you want to pay for R&D or not. There are no right answers here, but if you decide yes, you want to do R&D, please understand there will be an R&D cost, and I showed you how to calculate the R&D cost. So please understand there are trade-offs, there are advantages and disadvantages as well. Okay. Another very important advantage of doing R&D, now because you know the secret of the product and you know the improvements, you can also save on the cost of the product. You can also save the cost of the product, versus if you decide to buy ready-made, if you don't do R&D and if you buy it ready-made, you cannot save on the cost of your product. So for example, if you are developing your own pen, let me give an example. If you decide to make your own pen, you can choose what material you are putting in your pen, what is the quality, how the pen will perform. You can control all of that. Versus, let us say you are just importing the pen from China. Well, you can do that, but now let me ask this question. If you can import from China, correct? What stops somebody else from importing? Please understand this question. If you say, I don't want to do R&D, so no R&D, no manufacturing, and you will say, I will import from China, okay, that's fine. If you import from China, that's okay. But now the question is, if you can import, somebody else, I can import, my friend can import, your friend can import, anybody can import from China. So that's another disadvantage of not doing R&D. But again, as I'm saying, it's all about a trade-off, and you are the entrepreneur, you have to decide. Okay, guys? All I'm trying to explain here is how to calculate the R&D cost, and you will understand that there is a cost to doing R&D. And I've also explained the trade-offs to you, the benefits of doing R&D versus not doing R&D. As an entrepreneur, you have to decide whether you want to do R&D or you want to get the product ready-made from somewhere. Okay, guys? So guys, what have we looked at in this lecture? We saw a few important concepts. We saw that research and development is a small journey of its own. It's the journey of taking your idea and converting it into a finished product or service. And R&D has a few steps of its own. What are these steps? What are the journey that you will go through to complete these steps? And also the final step of getting it evaluated from your customer. And we also looked at how to calculate the cost involved for R&D. And remember, if you don't decide to do R&D, it's fine. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. So please keep in mind these concepts. As an entrepreneur, you will need R&D, you might not need R&D. You have to decide, but make sure that when you do R&D, you go through the steps that we have discussed in this lecture. I hope these concepts were clear, guys. I'll see you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.